I'm doing something new.
I remember Richmond nights, I remember the feel.
Perseverance is a good attribute when you're headed in the right direction. However, if you are stubborn in pursuing something where you're not getting the results you want, perseverance sucks. Here's an example. Price Pritchett tells us that when you have a big goal, when you have a big achievement, something that's really driving you, but you're not getting the results you want, say it's something that you have been pursuing for, almost all your life. I know a really great musician who is stuck, as in he wants to have a one-hit wonder. And I've included his music at the beginning of this podcast. I'm going to include many of his songs for the next month because he deserves to be discovered. I've known him for 50 years, which is pretty amazing. As a songwriter, he plays his music everywhere, and I do mean everywhere in Austin, Texas. He is someone who has perseverance. However, as Price Pritchett says, try something different. Me being a marketing gal and owning a French-themed bed and breakfast, I did all kinds of different things to make the business a success. I'm going to write press releases for him. I'm going to put his music on LinkedIn, on Instagram. What else do I do? All those goofy social media things. I'm going to try something different with him. Number one, I happen to believe that he's a talented artist. I also believe that it's time for him to try something different. Many of us can't see the forest for the trees, and I know, of course, he's not a marketing person. However, he's going to be pushing 70, and he's going through that issue of, my God, I've been playing music for 50 years and I haven't gotten anywhere, all those kinds of things. So you folks are going to be listening to some of his music over the next few weeks, if not months. As you know, I always make a segue into Kundalini Yoga. And what I'm going to do with this particular session of Kundalini Yoga, I'm going to include Fist of Anger, again, from my Kundalini Yoga teacher, because I think anger blocks a lot of our perseverance. Because there's a kind of perseverance, as I mentioned before, where you don't have clarity about your next move. You don't have clarity about what you should be doing, about trying something different. So that's what I'm going to do, is include Fist of Anger. Lastly, wine is always the topic to end the podcast. I'm including some of the French winemakers who have impacted South African wines. One of my favorite is a Chenin Blanc producer. All he creates is Chenin Blanc. He creates Chenin Blanc in France, and he creates Chenin Blanc in South Africa. So that's going to be in my podcast details also. To wrap this up, I'm doing something different for one of my favorite musicians, John Hudson. I have known him for 50 years. You're going to listen to his music. You can check out on the podcast details even more of his songs. I'm just doing on this podcast one song, Richmond Nights. He always tells a story in his music, which I think is the best way to produce a song. What do I know? I'm a podcast person, podcast creator. I'm a marketing gal. I have my own business. Yeah, I sell French wine. Yeah, telling stories is important. To wrap that up, you're going to be listening to John Hudson for the next few weeks, next few months. Kundalini Yoga, Fist of Anger is really, really good for clarity. Anger sucks. It gives you cancer of the heart. Get rid of anger. It gives you clarity to get rid of anger. As to the wines, I'm going to talk about South African wines for a few more weeks also. I'm Valerie Hale. I create this podcast once a week to help people change their mindset. I also teach fear of public speaking. You can find all that information on my podcast details. Merci, au revoir.